Hey, Brooks coming to you from Minnesota. Today we're going to talk about the cure for CWD to replace the cull, because the cull is what's been happening since 2001 or 2 when we found CWD in Wisconsin. The cull means you find the disease, you detect it, you develop a radius, and you kill a bunch of deer. You knock the deer herd back, deer hunters quit, the deer herd gets really young. It's not a lot of fun, okay? The cull has, we've spent over $100 million in the cull so far since we found those first cases really in the Midwest and Wisconsin. And what's happened? So in 16 years, what's happened? We now have CWD in 24 states, the number of cases about double every year, and the amount of area geographically affected doubles every year. So how's the cull working? The cull's not working. The cull is very expensive. The cull cannot eliminate CWD, and the cull apparently can't slow the spread of CWD. So we need to start looking for a cure, okay? So what do we look for in a cure? Well, here's what my elected looks for in a cure. They've got 4 bills that they've designed to eliminate the captive servant industry. Is that going to cure CWD? Many people say yes. I'm going to tell you right now, if you killed every single captive servant in the world today, another deer would get CWD tomorrow, all right? Eliminating the captive servant industry is not going to cure CWD. Our elected have about $100 million on the table this year that they might spend to try and do that plan, but it's not going to cure CWD. The cull will continue forever. So what is the cure for CWD? I'll give you 2 options. There's very promising vaccine research coming out of the state of Louisiana, Dr. Frank Bastian. Guess how much Dr. Frank Bastian wants to complete his CWD vaccine research that would end CWD on both sides of the fence? Frank wants $300,000, okay? It's a pittance compared to the $100 million we've spent and the next $100 million that we're going to spend. So that should be funded. He thinks he can have the answer done in a couple of years where we can vaccinate the deer. CWD is gone. That's the cure. No more cull, okay? What's the other option? Genetic resistance. A lot of people poo-poo it. Let me give you a little history. CWD in deer is very similar to scrapie in sheep. USDA adopted a genetic resistance program in the early 90s to go after scrapie in sheep because it was part of the food chain. And in 15 short years, incidence of scrapie declined 99%. Sounds like a pretty effective model, doesn't it? Yes, it does. The captive deer industry has a lot of those genetic markers already cataloged. The feds and nobody in any state agencies wants to touch that, okay? All they had to do was find the deer that were most susceptible to CWD, kill off those genetics. That's what the deer farmers are doing now. Sheep industry did that, 99% reduction of incidence in 15 short years. So I know a lot of people hate the captive servant industry. That's okay, but those private interests are working towards a cure to eliminate the cull, which is what's going to happen outside the fence in the wild forever. How many years before it blankets the entire nation and we're all dealing with sharpshooters, low deer numbers, unhuntable deer numbers, deer age on herds that don't turn people on, and half the deer hunters we had today? It's not going to be very long when everything doubles every year. So sign this petition, tell your elected to shape up, tell them eliminating the captive servant industry is not going to get rid of CWD. It's not going to cure CWD, no matter how much you hate people hunting deer inside the fence. I understand the personal disdain for it. I personally don't share it, but I understand it. And let's get this cure going. Let's spend some money on something other than the cull that has been a fail for the last 16 years.